At my daughter's baptism, my SIL snatched the mic and said, "We're just so grateful she got his eyes. Let's hope she didn't get her mom's attitude." Everyone laughed while I held back tears. I confronted my husband and he said, "You're overreacting. It's just a joke." But when I got home, I found the customized family Bible I had made in the trash. The note inside said, "You don't get to rewrite our family." I'm 32 female, married to Blake 34 male for 5 years. We live in Columbus, Ohio, in a small 3-bedroom ranch house Blake bought before we got married. I met him in college. I was majoring in elementary education. He was in business. We weren't an obvious match, but it worked. At least, I thought it did. From the very first time he took me to meet his family, I knew they didn't like me. His mom, Elaine, is the kind of woman who smiles through her teeth. The kind who says, "Oh, how creative," when you bring a homemade dish to Thanksgiving instead of the green bean casserole she makes every year. His dad, Frank, barely talks, just sits in his chair and watches football. But it was Megan, his older sister, who really made me feel like I didn't belong. At first, it was little things. Like calling me Blake's friend, even after we got engaged. Like giving me a bottle of diet pills for Christmas one year, wrapped up with a bow. Like telling Blake loudly at a barbecue, she's not really family until she pops out a kid. Blake always brushed it off. "Megan's just joking. Don't take it so seriously." I told myself he was right. I told myself I could be the bigger person. I swallowed it all for 5 years. Then came the baptism. And everything I had ignored boiled over. I planned every part of Sophia's baptism by myself. Blake didn't care about the details. His only request was that his family be invited. Of course they would be. I chose a little Lutheran church on the edge of the city. Old wood pews, tall stained glass windows, simple but beautiful. I found a hand-sewn white baptism dress on Etsy, spent hours writing little notes in a family Bible I ordered, prayers for Sophia, hopes for her future. I even left blank pages for her to add her own prayers when she's older. This wasn't just a party. It was something I never had growing up. I wanted Sophia to know she was wanted. That she was loved. Everything was perfect that morning. Sophia didn't cry once. The pastor smiled the whole way through. Even Megan seemed quiet, sitting in the pew with her 2 kids. I thought, for once, maybe everything would be okay. After the ceremony, we had a small reception in the church hall. Nothing fancy. Sandwich platters, cupcakes, iced tea. Blake's mom pushed him to say a few words. He stood up, said something short about how grateful we were, how beautiful Sophia was, how proud he was to be her dad. Then Megan stood up. She smiled so big and sweet that for a second, I thought maybe she was about to be nice. She took the mic, laughed a little, and said, "We're just so grateful Sophia got Blake's eyes. Let's hope she didn't get her mom's attitude." The room roared. Everyone was laughing. Even the pastor chuckled awkwardly. I felt like I had been slapped. I looked around, waiting for someone to stand up for me. Someone to say, "Hey, that's not okay." Nobody did. Blake laughed. His mother laughed. His father clapped Megan on the back like she had just hit a home run. I stood there holding my daughter, pretending to smile while my whole body went numb. I excused myself, muttered something about changing Sophia's diaper, and ran to the women's bathroom. I locked myself in a stall and just stood there, rocking Sophia back and forth, trying not to cry. On the way home, I couldn't stay quiet. I said, "How could you let her say that? How could you laugh?" Blake sighed like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "You're overreacting. Megan was just joking. That's how she is. You know that." I stared at him, feeling like I didn't even know who I had married. It's not a joke to humiliate your daughter's mother in front of everyone. He tightened his hands on the steering wheel but didn't answer. Sophia started fussing in her car seat, and I turned away from him. There was no point. When we got home, I put Sophia down for a nap in her crib. I was still shaking. My hands kept clenching and unclenching without me meaning to. I wanted to calm down. I told myself, don't make it worse. I went to the entryway where I had left the family Bible. I wanted to see it, touch it, remind myself that today wasn't about them, it was about Sophia. But it wasn't there. I checked the dining room table, the kitchen counter, the living room. Nothing. A pit opened up in my stomach. I walked to the garage and opened the big trash bin. There it was, smeared with food, crumpled, stinking of plastic and vinegar from someone's leftover salad. I pulled it out, hands shaking. Tucked into the pages was a note, written on the back of a church program. It said, "You don't get to rewrite our family." In Megan's handwriting. No mistaking it. I sat down on the garage floor and cried until I couldn't breathe. I stormed back inside, Bible in my hands, tears streaming down my face. I held it up to Blake and said, "Did you know about this?" He looked guilty. Not surprised. Guilty. I didn't. Megan must have, he stammered. "Did you know?" I screamed. Sophia started crying upstairs. Blake flinched, but still said nothing. I dropped the Bible onto the kitchen table. It made a sick, wet slap sound. You let them throw away something I made for our daughter. You laughed when they humiliated me. You stood there and laughed. Still nothing. Not even an apology. That's when I knew. Knew in my bones. I was on my own. I packed a bag for Sophia and me. Diapers, a few outfits, formula, her favorite stuffed bunny. Blake watched but didn't try to stop me. Tara, my best friend since high school, picked me up without even asking questions. She held me while I cried, told me I could stay as long as I needed. Blake texted me later that night, "You're blowing this out of proportion." Family's family. They didn't mean anything by it. Family's family. His family. Not me. Not Sophia. Not anymore. Tara's apartment wasn't big. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a small living room stuffed with hand-me-down furniture. It smelled like old coffee and lavender candles, but it was safe. It was the first place I had breathed freely in months. Tara didn't ask for details at first. She just handed me a cup of tea and sat next to me on the couch while I fed Sophia. Later, when Sophia was asleep, Tara finally said, "You're not going back, are you?" I shook my head. I told her everything. The years of passive-aggressive digs. The Christmases where Megan made snide comments about my job, my clothes, my looks. The way Blake always told me to let it go instead of standing up for me. The baptism. The Bible. Tara listened with her jaw clenched so tight I thought her teeth would crack. When I finished, she said, "If you stay with him, it's never going to stop. They will tear you apart piece by piece. You know that, right?" I knew. God, I knew. The next day, Blake showed up at Tara's. I didn't answer the door. Tara did. I listened from the hallway. "Blake, she's being dramatic." Megan didn't mean anything by it. It was a joke. "Tara, you laughed." "Blake, it's family. You're supposed to have a sense of humor about family." Tara laughed in his face. A short, hard laugh. "Tara, funny. Family's supposed to protect you too. Guess you missed that part." Blake left without seeing me. He didn't even try to fight for me. For Sophia. Just left. That night, I stayed up until 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, thinking. I realized something. Megan's whole world was her reputation. Her Instagram full of perfect mommy posts, her church group friends, her husband's job in finance. She needed to look good. She needed to be admired. And Blake? Blake needed to look like the good guy, the guy with the perfect wife, the perfect family, the perfect life. They cared more about appearances than anything else. So that's where I would hit them. First thing Monday morning, I found a family law attorney. Her name was Susan. A short woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a voice that could cut glass. I laid everything out, the years of emotional neglect, the public humiliation, the trashed Bible. Susan didn't flinch. You have a strong case, she said, especially with a child involved. You need to document everything from this point forward. Every text, every email. Save it all. I asked about custody. She nodded. You've been Sophia's primary caregiver. If you want full custody, you'll likely get it. Especially if you can show emotional abuse. Something inside me clicked into place. I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to take my daughter and never let them hurt her the way they hurt me. I started saving everything. Every text from Blake. Every fake sweet, "Are you okay?" message from Megan. Every backhanded comment they posted on Facebook where they painted me as emotional and unstable. I printed everything, highlighted everything, filed it all neatly in a binder Susan gave me. I also wrote out a full timeline from the first time Megan made a cruel comment, right up to the baptism. I wasn't going into this blind. I was going into this loaded for war. I didn't post anything online at first. I just waited. Waited until Megan posted a long, sappy post about Sophia's baptism. A post full of lies about how blessed we are to welcome this little angel into our loving family. A post that made it seem like Megan and I were best friends, like we had all stood together in love and faith. That's when I snapped. I commented just once. Not rude. Not dramatic. Just the truth. Interesting how you left out the part where you publicly mocked Sophia's mother at her own baptism and threw her gift for Sophia in the trash. No name-calling. No curse words. Just facts. Within an hour, Megan's comments exploded. Her church friends started asking questions. People from her kids' school commented things like, "Wait, what happened? And is this true?" By nightfall, Megan had deleted the whole post. But it was too late. Screenshots were everywhere. Megan texted me furiously, "I can't believe you would embarrass me like that. You are so immature. You're ruining our family." Our family. Like I was the outsider. I didn't even answer her. Blake called me 4 times that night. Left a voicemail saying, "You're making a big mistake. This is gonna get ugly." He was right. It was going to get ugly. But not for me. For them. After I called Megan out publicly, the cracks in her perfect life started showing fast. At first, she tried to act like nothing happened. She even posted some fake cheerful photos of her kids baking cookies, with captions like "Family is everything." But people remembered. She couldn't delete the screenshots floating around local Facebook groups. The moms from her Bible study started pulling away. The invitations to PTA meetings stopped coming. Parents at her kids' school started whispering when she walked by. Megan tried to fight it. She made a dramatic Facebook Live video crying about jealous people who are trying to tear good families apart. It was pathetic. The comments were brutal. Most people weren't buying it anymore. Then the real bomb dropped. One night, Tara and I were sitting on her couch, Sophia asleep upstairs in the portable crib, when my phone buzzed. A message request on Facebook. From a name I didn't know. It said, "You don't know me, but you need to check out Megan's husband. He's not who you think he is." Attached was a screenshot. It showed Megan's husband, Mr. Perfect Finance Guy on Tinder. His profile was very clear. Full face photo. Bio that said, "Married, but looking for some fun." My heart almost stopped. Tara grabbed the phone out of my hand. We sat there in stunned silence for a full minute before she said, "You realize this means Megan's world is about to really burn down." I didn't even have to think about it. I didn't even hesitate. I hit save. I didn't make a big show about it. No big announcement. Just a quiet little email. To Megan's church pastor. To the head of her kids' private school PTA. To her in-laws, her husband's parents, who I knew hated drama. Just a simple, anonymous email. Thought you might want to know who's representing your organization. Attached were the Tinder screenshots. No commentary. No accusations. Just the truth. It took 2 days. 2 days before Megan's husband was kicked out of their home. 2 days before the church removed Megan from her Family Values Committee. 2 days before the private school quietly suggested she find other educational opportunities for her kids. And all the while, I stayed quiet. No gloating. No public posts. Just silent satisfaction. Meanwhile, Blake kept trying to reach me. First with guilt. Sophia needs her dad. Then with anger. If you think you're getting full custody, you're crazy. Then with threats. I'll fight you. You'll regret this. But Blake didn't know what I knew. I had spent years being quiet. Watching. Noticing things. Like how he worked late twice a week for months, but still barely brought home any overtime money. Like how he had a second phone I wasn't supposed to touch. I didn't confront him at the time. I just noted it. Tucked it away. And now with Susan, my attorney, by my side, I started digging. It didn't take long. Turns out Blake wasn't just a bad husband. He was also financially reckless. He had drained almost half of Sophia's college savings account to pay off secret credit card debts I didn't even know existed. He had taken out payday loans, high-interest ones, behind my back. He wasn't deep. And he had forged my signature on one of the loan applications. Susan's eyes lit up when I showed her the paperwork. "This changes everything," she said. "You have more leverage than you realize." I wasn't just walking away with Sophia. I was walking away clean. Blake was going to be left holding the bag and the debt. Susan filed the custody paperwork immediately. Full custody. On grounds of emotional neglect, unsafe financial behavior, and forging my name. I served Blake at his job, at his office, in front of his boss, in front of everyone. Blake called me that night, screaming, threatening to drag me through the mud. But there was no mud to drag. Only him, sinking in his own quicksand. While Blake flailed, Megan made one last desperate move. She showed up at Tara's apartment. Uninvited. Banged on the door until Tara answered. I stayed back, holding Sophia. I heard every word. "Megan, you're destroying my family." "Tara, no. You destroyed yourself." "Megan, you think you're so perfect? You think you're better than us." "Tara, no. We just think you're trash." Megan screamed. Like an animal. Screamed until her voice cracked. And when Tara calmly shut the door in her face, Megan stood outside sobbing for a few minutes, then left. I watched from the upstairs window, rocking Sophia gently. And I didn't feel sorry. Not one bit. Blake tried to fight. He hired some slick lawyer who clearly thought this was just another messy divorce he could win by bullying a scared young mom. He didn't realize I wasn't scared anymore. I sat in court with Susan by my side. Calm. Focused. We had documentation, screenshots of Blake's threats, bank statements showing the drained college fund payday loan, records, the forged signature character statements from people who witnessed Megan's behavior at the baptism. Blake's lawyer tried to spin it. She's emotional. Overreacting. Vindictive. But facts don't care about spin. When the judge saw the forged loan papers and the text messages where Blake laughed about me being easy to gaslight, his face hardened. Full custody. I got full custody of Sophia. Blake got supervised visitation, pending psychiatric evaluation and financial counseling. Megan's life didn't just fall apart, it stayed shattered. Her husband filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences and emotional cruelty. Her church turned its back on her. Parents at the kids' school refused to set up playdates. The reputation Megan had built for years was gone in less than 2 months. The worst part for her? Nobody was coming to save her. Not her husband. Not her church. Not her friends. And definitely not me. After losing custody, Blake's spiral got worse. He lost his job after too many missed days and angry outbursts. The payday loans came due. He couldn't keep up. He had to move back into his parents' house. The same house where Megan was now living too, after being kicked out by her husband. 2 grown adults. 2 failed lives. 2 angry, bitter people crammed under the same roof. The family that once mocked me, they were now eating each other alive. It wasn't all clean for me either. I had to rebuild my life from scratch. New apartment, new routines, new support systems, therapy, lots of it. I had to sit with the guilt too. Guilt that I stayed so long, that I let them treat me like that Sophia had to live through even a second of that ugliness. I wasn't perfect. I had ignored red flags because I was desperate to have a family, any family. I had clung to hope longer than I should have. But in the end, I chose Sophia over my pride. I chose the truth over comfort. And I chose myself. Finally, about 6 months after the final custody order, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was the family Bible I had made, the one they threw in the trash. It had been cleaned as best as someone could manage. Still stained. Still wrinkled. No note. Just the Bible. A silent admission. A pathetic apology. I put it on a shelf in Sophia's room anyway. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real. Just like the life we were building. One broken page at a time.